Welcome, everybody, to a session of Prabhupada Memoirs. These sessions are dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, where we hear directly from his direct disciples of actually some intimate pastimes and to help us connect more closer to Srila Prabhupada. So we're so fortunate that on the first episode, which was also inspired by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, that we have started these sessions in collaboration with ISKCON Mayapur and Mayapur TV. And just a little bit for those that may not know His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and be tuning in for the first time, he actually is one of the most senior actual devotees and disciples of ISKCON. He started his journey back in 1968 when he actually took first initiation back in Montreal. And then in 1970, he took sannyas initiation on the most auspicious day of Radhashtami. He's also the GBC member and zonal secretary for 30 regions around the world, and also part of 8 GBC committees. And directly in relation to Mayapur Dham, he is part of the development committee member. He's exhibits and theme park department head, land and department head, Ganges erosion precautions department, promotes Sri Mayapur worldwide, and also GBC zonal secretary and co-director of Mayapur Dham. So without further ado, I really like to welcome him onto this platform. So let's give a big Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, welcome His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj today.
Hi.
And how are you?
To remember Prabhupada.
Yes, we're going to be today just talking about Srila Prabhupada. And actually, I wanted to start His Holiness asking the question, how is Mayapur Dham right now? How are the devotees? How is everything going on with regards to this COVID situation? Is everything okay?
Well, recently the government has allowed limited access to places of worship. So we allow a certain number of visitors from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. They have to observe social distancing. Some days it's complete lockdown. Naturally, financially, our situation is a bit hampered because we have so many calls, so many people to maintain. Well, we are mainly maintaining through various enterprises serving the different pilgrims. Now, during the COVID crisis, there's not many pilgrims, and therefore we actually spend more than what the pilgrims give. Otherwise, few for 100, 150 a day, or used to be millions a week.
Wow.
But we're giving help for prasad distribution and devotee care from different devotees in Bangladesh and Australasia and Europe, the UK. Somehow we're pulling on.
Now that's really amazing to hear. And you yourself have been part of the Mayapur Dham project since 1970, when Srila Prabhupada instructed you to, the words I would quote, "I have given you the kingdom of God, now develop it." So how did you feel when you heard these words, His Holiness, on this? How did you feel when these words came to you?
Well, for the first 2 years in India, I was in Calcutta, and then gradually we got the land in Mayapur. So Prabhupada transferred me there 1971 or 72, I forget. So when he said these words, it was something very amazing because, you know, you don't think that you can develop a spiritual world. You think that it's an impossible task. But Prabhupada, he gave me many unlimited services. And so I've been trying to develop my Verdant. And I've been having a lot of God brothers, God sisters, and different devotees have been helping me and have been dedicated to carrying out Prabhupada's vision. I'm sure that during these upcoming Prabhupada Memoirs, you're going to be discussing with some of the other God brothers and God sisters who are part of Mayapur in the beginning days. I was very inspired to be in the Holy Dham of Mayapur. And naturally, when Prabhupada said that you develop it, it was overwhelming experience. Prabhupada's idea was that we do something wonderful here. He said we would have 50,000 people. We'd have 25,000 residents and 25,000 daily guests. So at that time, we're living in a grass hut. That hut is still there, and we had 5 or 6 devotees. So the idea of having 25 devotees then was something beyond imagination. But Prabhupada, he said, no, he was living in a grass hut, and he said, this hut is in the mode of goodness. This hut made of bamboo, grass, it's in the mode of goodness. And we're building guest houses out of stone, brick, sand, cement, steel. This is the mode of passion. But who will stay in grass huts? To have a successful project, we need to have facilities to house the devotees from all over the world. He was saying this was his United Nations of the spiritual world. So he had a great vision. Today we have 7,000 devotees living in Mayapur. So from 5, 7,000. That's now having 25,000. It doesn't seem so impossible anymore.
100%. Wow, that's so amazing. So this grass hut was made of goodness, in the mode of goodness. So are we talking about the Bhajan Kutir here,
Yeah.
Maharaj?
Yes.
And this hut that was.
If people can understand what I say, because I had some strokes and part of my face is paralyzed. So if people have difficulty understanding what I say, send a message to the interviewer. And
Yes, please just. Yeah, if anyone's having trouble, please do message through, and then we'll try and arrange that facilities. But you're coming out clearly here, Maharaj. Thank you so much today. So just on that basis, if I can zone in onto that grass hut, the Bhajan Kutir, in those days, on that, because if you can take us back, when you started this Mayapur project with some of the devotees there, I gather you were seeing a field, and Srila Prabhupada, and was this Bhajan Kutir there already, and that how did that Pacific part, and how was living there like when Srila Prabhupada used to come?
There was nothing here before. It was a paddy field. And then we built a grass hut so that devotees would stay. And there are some devotees who stayed here, and I would come from Calcutta and bring them some money and help. At that time, there was the Bangladesh War, and Pakistan, India were at war, and that's when Bangladesh was previously known as East Pakistan. And Mujibur Rahman was the liberator, revolutionary, and so at that time they had the Calcutta vehicles had their headlights painted black on the top half, and there was a prohibition for foreigners to leave Calcutta. So I had to sneak out to Mayapur by the train, cover my head, and visit them and give them some basic finance to tie them the next week. So at first in Mayapur, when I moved out to Mayapur, the grass hut was there. And well, that was all that was there. There's open fields. In fact, across the road one day, I saw a tiger, and he was poisoned by the farmers there. He had a dog or something, and the dog was poisoned. So somehow, this place was wild, and we were living there in the middle of this field, a grass hut.
Wow.
So Prabhupada asked me to develop it. So I was thinking how we could be self-sufficient, because they're only sending us from Calcutta about 35 rupees a month.
Oh, 35 rupees.
A week, maybe. That was, insufficient. I asked Prabhupada permission whether I could grow some vegetables and things. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, no, he's a city boy. What do you know about growing? I can give me a chance, Prabhupada. And he's all right. So I found out that my small piece of land, like an acre, is 60 katas in India, 3 bighas, and 1 kata is a 60th of an acre. I grow radish, Asian radish, long ones. And the radish, you could use the greens as a type of spinach. Radish you could take as a salad or cook it. And 1 kata, or 1/60th of an acre of radish. I had so many tons of radish.
Wow.
5, 6 devotees. After a while, they said, Maharaj, please, no more radish.
Radish galore. That's amazing. So Maharaj, if I can ask the question on, so you're doing all this agriculture, you're helping out, you're growing loads of radish and trying to keep some way of getting some income coming in to keep going. What was Srila Prabhupada's main mission of why he wanted to have this, should we say, ISKCON headquarters in Mayapur Dham? What was his motive behind it? That if you could share some of that, and how he asked you to integrate with the locals, that would be also nice to hear.
Since our movement comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's natural that we should have such a temple in Mayapur. And since we are devotees of Lord Krishna, Prabhupada wanted a temple in Vrindavan, which is the land of Krishna. So in Mayapur, he was telling us that all the previous acharyas had done something to develop Mayapur and put it on the map. So he wanted to make his contribution. He was saying how, like, Siddha Jagannath Das Babaji, he found the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, identified it with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur had begged from door to door and made the first temple and the birthplace, how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had built a birthplace temple and established his Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in the in Mayapur Dham. So he wanted to do something. Prabhupada wanted to do something also. So he was on the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was saying all this, and he said, I'm committed to doing something to develop the Holy Dham. And he was saying that how he's so grateful for the devotees who are helping him. He started choking up and crying. And you could really see it was a very emotional moment. And he was very much appreciative of all the devotees who are helping to develop Mayapur Dham. So he wanted a temple of Vedic planetarium, something that would be not only a temple, but would project the scientific aspects of the Puranas and Vedic literatures.
Wow. Thank you.
But I'll let you.
Guru Maharaj, just on that, it's so amazing to hear how much it's grown, how much the Mayapur project has grown over time. I had a question, and please, I just want everybody to know. Just check if His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj can hear me. It's just checking. Everything's okay. Test. So I just want to just say to everybody that's online, we have at the moment around 260 from the different platforms that are come online. So thank you everybody for joining and listening here to the Prabhupada Nectars that we are trying to broadcast. And if you have any questions, please do message them. We will able to get them. I'll able to see them here. And then I'll try and pick out some of those that we can ask His Holiness in front of me right now. So as we go on, if I may, because that radish story was very interesting, the amount of radishes that you made. And I've had one person asking a question, which I'll bring up on the screen. His name's Sachinanda Karunadas from, I believe, the UK. And he says, what did Prabhupada say about being self-sustaining, growing our own foods in regards to Mayapur or otherwise?
He encouraged that. he said if we grow our own food, that food would be karma free. And he was encouraging that we should grow our own food. At the same time, his idea was that we would create a city in Mayapur. And it was in Haridas. He said that in Haridas will take an existing village and make it Krishna conscious. In Mayapur, we're building a city, and in Metzal and near Hyderabad in Andhra Pradesh, at that time they had given us 650 acres. He said, there we will make our own village, Krishna conscious. Prabhupada had a broad vision about what he wanted to do at different places. So, although he did say that Mayapur should be self-reliant or whatever, at the same time he said we're building a spiritual city. So we thought that somewhere we should have a dedicated area like 600 or so acres, which would grow food for the city. But now, we're seeing that with this pandemic going on, that to be self-sufficient is the ideal situation. At least we should provide for the deities, for the core devotees, and so that's something that Prabhupada envisioned, that every temple around the world should have a farm, and that a farm would grow the fruit grains and the vegetables and provide the milk products. So in Mayapur we have ahimsa cows, try to protect the cows, and I think that was a vision Prabhupada had in every part of the world. So
No, just leading on to. So just lead.
Price of land has gone up. When I bought land here, I pay like 500 to 1,200 rupees a biga, a third of an acre, which is a 2.42 acres is 1 hectare.
Wow.
I think. So at that time, land, now that we have so many devotees living here, the land price has soared, and now 1 acre costs, like 1 kata, a 60 acre costs about 10 to 14 lakhs.
Oh.
I used to buy 20 katas for 500 rupees to 1,200 rupees. Now it's 70 lakhs per kata.
That's amazing. So now that we've got all this land, and I just want to bring it on to the food for life aspect as well, because if I'm correct, Srila Prabhupada, even when he visited, and I'll ask you some questions on his specific visits, because he used to come for a few months in the Kartik months to Mayapur Dham every year, or as often as he could. There was a comment made, and I think directly to you, that nobody should go hungry in a 10-mile radius. And can I ask how that came about? Of course, we had all the lands now, and you're creating all this sustainable food for Bhoga to offer. But how did this instruction come about, and how did Mayapur Dham take that on under your guidance?
He would generally come before Kartik or after Kartik. Sometimes a part of Kartik he would spend in Mayapur, but usually he would spend most of Kartik in Vrindavan. So one year he was still in Mayapur. I think it was the Anakut, called the Mountain of Rice, where we would observe the Govardhan Puja by creating a mountain of rice and circumambulating that. So there was a big feast for all the people, and they ate this mountain of rice. So some of the, behind the temple, the leaf plates were thrown. On those leaf plates, some people had left little portions of rice. They didn't eat everything clean. So Prabhupada was in his room, and he heard dogs barking and kids shouting. So he went and looked over the veranda. I saw that some of the village children were with sticks and fighting off the dogs. On one hand, on the other hand, they're eating the remnants thrown by the people on these leaf plates. And Prabhupada started crying. He said, how hungry they must be to eat, to fight off dogs and eat what people have thrown away, half-eaten remnants. So he said, no one should go hungry within a 10-mile radius. Because he said, Krishna is everyone's father. On the presence of the father, the children never go hungry. So please see that no one goes hungry around your temple. And this would apply to any temple of Krishna. So even during this COVID crisis, we're sending out 7 different small, I call hati gullies, like pickup trucks. And we'd send out 5,000-6,000 plates of prasad every day until the government said the situation became like grave. The number of cases increased. So they had strict lockdowns. Some days, I think, they had now in Bengal something like every other day of lockdown. And they stopped giving us permission to go out. So even giving out prasadam on the normal days from our temple and from the Jagannath temple. And this was the idea that Prabhupada had, and no one should go hungry within a 10-mile radius.
Wow. So that's, and regarding Mayapur Dham at that time, when this instruction was said, and of course there was financial difficulties as well going on. And I know for a fact that yourself, you were also, to bring in income, you were also doing a lot of the farming and helping out, and also conversing with the local devotees. So just and people from the different mutts there. So I just want to just bring regarding helping to feed the individuals in the localities. You also learned at the same time Bengali and to pick all that up as well. Is that correct? That was the time when it was like, okay, I got to learn how to speak, how to converse, so I can help with this type of project.
Well, since I was in Calcutta, from that time I started to learn Bengali. I learned the Devanagari script in Canada because Prabhupada Das was staying in our temple in Montreal, and he taught me the Devanagari. The Bengali script is similar to the Devanagari, a little more round, but it's the same alphabet. So I learned how to read Bengali when I was in Calcutta. The thing that I like that I learned how to do basic, speak to basic things. But in Mayapur, nobody knew English, nobody, and I had to learn sink or swim. So I had to learn, and Prabhupada was appreciative that I was learning Bengali. I was giving classes in Bengali. I would have the open book and try to speak in the local language. It took me a couple of years, but by Krishna's mercy, some of the fine points, like there's two T's, a ta, a ta, and I couldn't hear the difference. So you say data means a donor, and you say data, that means a type of stem vegetable.
Oh, such subtleties.
So it's very, and yeah. So I would say the wrong tea, and then they would say, what do you want to eat a donor for?
So wow, so much you had to learn. And regarding the locals now, because you picked up the language and you're conversing, was that something Srila Prabhupada was very keen on? Because there's a lot of mutts or sects in that area in Navadweep, where we've got different organizations doing Krishna consciousness in their different ways. So what was how did you able to connect with him? What was Srila Prabhupada's instructions on this as well?
Prabhupada instructed us to learn the local language, to mix with the people, to be part of the community. And even some of the Muslim farmers, they wanted to perform for Prabhupada a stick fight, mock stick fight, called the Dakati. And Dakati means the armed robber. So they came in, and the Prabhupada was looking at them from the veranda of the Lotus building. They were in the park, and one of them was putting kerosene in his mouth and swinging it out and lighting it up and flying out, and then doing a whole job of da-da-da-da, as how, like if you're robbing someone. Now, this had nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, but the fact that they are offering this to Prabhupada, he was watching, and he thanked them. So he was trying to appreciate the local offerings. So he was encouraging us to do the same. So I had a Muslim assistant, Chaku Sheikh, and I go around, I buy cars and things. And he tells some Hindu car owner, hey, he wants to buy a car for the temple, you should give a discount. And they would feel embarrassed that here, Muslim with a beard, he's telling them, give a discount for the cow. So it was Prabhupada encouraged. He said people can live in our temple and practice Islam. They could do their namaz 5 times a day, but they should attend a Mangal Arti and they should chant japa.
That's amazing.
So Prabhupada had a very broad vision. Once he told me that there were so many grihastas here. At that time, he had many brahmacharis and sannyasi. So then I said, grihastas? He told me, think broad, think broad.
God.
So he had a whole vision that life or down would be populated by different grihasta devotees.
Amazing.
I see a few questions on the right.
Yeah, I've had some coming through. And regarding Grihashta, as you just talked about the Grihashtas living, I'm going to bring one up by Pritika Parmeshwari Haripriya. And she asks, Guru Maharaj, we read at many places Srila Prabhupada's instruction in purport stating plain living and high thinking. What does it actually mean by plain living for a Grihashta living in cities? How this instruction can be implemented on a level for us regarding food?
What's the last part?
So the last part, how this instruction can be implemented on a level of our food also. So they're living in the cities.
Our food also. How this could be implemented on the level of our food also.
Of course, simple living, high thinking is easier on the farm. We live simple, depend on the land, grow your own food, have a cow. That's simple living. And think about Krishna consciousness, study his books. How do you do this in the city? We are in the city specifically to teach. And I have some disciples who are living in the Middle East. But to live there, you have to work there. And you get a work visa. So, because they're also helping to disseminate Krishna consciousness to the fellow expatriates, I encourage them to stay there. And so if the people living in the temples can, living in the cities, can help in disseminating Krishna consciousness, help the temples, help development of bhakti viksha, etc. And that is a high thinking part of it. As far as plain living, the point is that we don't need a lot of luxury items unnecessarily. We can live using the facilities. But the main thing is to offer everything we eat to Krishna. We don't, like Prabhupada was saying, we don't need a lot of artificial items. We can live a little simpler. But the main thing is to offer what we eat to Krishna. Prabhupada was encouraging that. Those who live on the farm, they could actually live very simple. I heard that in Hungary they have a farm, but they live very simple. So
Yes.
in the cities, obviously, is the opportunity that presents itself to preach and take Krishna Prasad.
There you go. Thank you, Maharaj, for
I
that.
was giving initiation, and we say no meat, fish, egg, And the person said, no meat, no fish and chips, which is the
What?
local fast food of it.
Yes.
So the point is that we don't eat such things and we live simple. But you can offer to Krishna. He doesn't fast, so you can offer him the opulent prasad.
So just on that as well. Because city living, people will say the higher thinking is hard, and I want to just bring it back to the 70s on this point, especially about city living. So in the 70s, during Srila Prabhupada's time, how did the Kolkata city dwellers visit Mayapur? Like, what was the experiences like at that time when people used to come? Was it quite easy to get over, etc., especially when Prabhupada was there?
At first, there were only a few mutts in Mayapur. And we were following the city preaching in Calcutta. At that time, Prabhupada wanted to buy land in Mayapur because he wanted devotees to come, especially on the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya, and visit Mayapur. So I went there with Prabhupada, and he looked at the different lands, and he was not getting any help from his godbrothers. So somehow, some of the Muslim farmers agreed to sell the land to Prabhupada. And so he sent Tamal Krishna Maharaj and a couple of people to Mayapur to buy the land. And at that time, I stayed in Calcutta and was worshiping the deities, Radha, Govinda. Small deities. Prabhupada would initially travel with his own Radha Krishna deity. And later on, when temples had their own deities, then he stopped traveling. And those deities are still in Calcutta, the ones that Prabhupada worshiped and traveled with. When Tamal Krishna Maharaj came back, then he told Prabhupada, the land is yours. And Prabhupada was so happy. So at one point, he thought maybe he won't get land in Mayapur. And he talked at that time with the Saivite of the Advaita temple in Shantipur, Jayapataka Swami. And he was talking with him that maybe he'll make his world headquarters in Shantipur. But he got land in Mayapur.
Wow. And regarding now Mayapur, if we come back to just Mayapur itself, there's a pastime, and a lot of people are asking this question, so I feel I'll bring it up at this point. There was that cobra incident when Srila Prabhupada came to stay at Mayapur Dham. Could you let us know what happened and how, when he was staying? Because then what was the situation that the cobra came at that time? I gather it was in the Bhajan Kutir area.
Now there's two situations. One with a cobra and one with a viper.
And, there's two, cobra and a viper.
So the situation involving Srila Prabhupada was with a viper. A viper is highly poisonous also. And at that time, the lotus building was incomplete. And Prabhupada was staying on the second floor. He used the British system, ground, first, second. He used the English or the American or the Bengali system, third floor. Anyway, so he was in the bathroom and suddenly he called, Jayapataka, Jayapataka, and running. And there, he was like in the toilet, holding the door shut. I mean, it wasn't fully shut. The door, the wiper was in the door and trying to bite Prabhupada. So then he said, help. So at that time, I didn't know what to do. If you open the door, a wiper might bite Prabhupada. And then I asked Prabhupada to take his hand off from the door, and I closed the door, crushing the wiper. And I opened the door very fast, pulled out Srila Prabhupada. So then, but then Prabhupada said, where's the mate of the viper? Because the village theory is that a cobra or a snake, he always travels with his mate. And if the mate sees the eyes of the snake, he can see the vision, the image of the last person that the snake saw. And then he or she, a mate, will try to kill that person. So that's why we had to find a mate, also burn the snake.
Wow. So there's a viper, not a cobra, everybody. So because everyone's saying cobra. So thank you for clarifying.
A cobra was in the big pile. At that time, we were building the Lotus building that Prabhupada was staying in later. And the workers stopped working because a black king cobra had come out from the rig pile. So then I went down with a shotgun, but I couldn't see the cobra. It was high grass. And I said, where's the cobra? And Bhavananda was on the roof and pointing down. There! But it looked like he was pointing at me, huh?
Amazing.
I said, where? There! I said, tell me 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something. So you're 20 feet from you on 10 o'clock. So then I saw the snake, and it was a big snake, like 6-7 feet long. And so then I shot the snake, but it was a double barrel shotgun. The first shot, it didn't actually, the snake, he raised up, with his hood spread, and it looked like he was going to hit me. Then I shot with the other barrel of the shotgun and hit the snake. And then so then the workers burnt the snake, and they began to work again.
Wow.
Otherwise, the work had stopped, and Prabhupada was pushing us. He wanted, I sent a picture of bricks and stone chips and things. He said, I don't want to see the bricks, stone chips. I want to see the finished buildings.
That's really nice. And I just want to also keeping on because now time is running short. We've only got less than 10 minutes. Really, really sad that it's gone so quick. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for these lovely pastimes. There's one really nice other pastime that there's a question that's came through from Marichi Das, and he says, Dear Guru Maharaj, in 1976, Srila Prabhupada inaugurated the Nittai Padakamala boat in the Ganga. Can you please tell us how was the inauguration and what was Srila Prabhupada's vision for the Nittai Padakamala boat? Your humble servant, Marichi Das.
At that time, we had wooden Nitai Gaur deities, which are still in a Bhajan Kutir. We take them out every year on the Vikram International Vikram Party, and those deities are on the boat, the Thai Palakamala boat. And Prabhupada went on the boat and offered the arti to the deities. So these deities are very special. They are installed, worshipped by Srila Prabhupada. He said we should get a wooden Nitai Gaur because Nitai Gaur knew how to swim. A wooden deity knows swimming because the deity will float. A brass deity would sink.
Yeah.
So, but he said we went from village to village, and we were distributing prasadam. Actually, we'd park on the Ganges by the side of some village, and then invite the village leaders on board, give them darshan, give them prasadam. We had a moving temple. Nitai Palakamala is now being taken care of by the Bhaktivedanta Academy School. But we could, that should be taken again out.
Makes complete sense. And regarding now bringing on, because of time, I wanted to just bring on a point. We just talked about 1976. And last point I want to make is on about 5th of November, 1977, where yourself, you went to Vrindavan to meet Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told you, I am making Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust. And then from that point, you were also helping with that service. So could you elaborate for us when that instruction was given, and also Srila Prabhupada's thoughts of the vision forward for BBT?
7 days before his departure, he established the Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust, and he made me the lifetime chairman. So it has some main purposes. One is to develop the Navadip Parikrama and Navadip Dana. So he's been researching many hidden places in the Parikrama book mentioned, but we don't know where they are. So I located, Gauraga Prem Maharaj, different people have located some of these places, like place where the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi came, and now they're down the place of the where Lord Shiva was seen by Jayapataka Goswami, where the Pustar Tirtha is. We know some of the places, like where the Nainashvanya and where the different places are a few places are still heated. There used to be 7 hillocks for the Sapta Rishi, the 7 rishis, and but all those hills were cut down, and so now it's all flat land. Hard to find out. Well, we know that such a place is there in Montedit. So there are 9 islands, and we've been one of the aspects of the Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust is to develop the Dharma. One is to develop Karmanda Bhumi, and one is to unite the disciples of the Saraswat disciplic succession. So Prabhupada had the trust of 5 ISKCON trustees and 2 trustees being his godbrothers from the Gaudiya Math. That was in 1977. In the 40-some years since then, I don't know any, at least any senior godbrothers who are still alive. And as a result, the grand disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada are members of we still have 2 members of the Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust who are members of the Gaudiya Math. So we're trying to establish the SGDA, a Saraswati Gaudiya Vaishnava Association. We have it informally. We're trying to write a constitution and register it. So this is our effort. I felt like when I was having my liver and kidney transplant, I had a vision of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Prabhupada, and they were saying to try to unite the Saraswati disciples. So I think that the reason I'm still in the world, one of the reasons is to finish the TLDP, and one of the reasons is also to see that a Saraswati family can be united.
Wow. So these are 2 things for the TOVP and also for the Saraswat family to be united. And I'm looking at time, and I've got 2 questions that I'm going to merge together. And so Sheila, it's coming up to 6:30. So we got 2 minutes left. And I just wanted to finish off on when we're talking about BBT. Srila Prabhupada told yourself to distribute 10,000 big books and 100,000 small books every month. And of course, that you did in so many imaginative ways. And is there anything that the audience we've got about approximately 300 people that are live. And of course, those that will be listening afterwards. That's the first thing. How can they help in helping fulfill Prabhupada's instruction? And also, secondly, the question of how devotees from all over the world can help fulfill Srila Prabhupada's vision for Mayapur. How can we all serve and contribute in developing Mayapur? So 2 parts, His Holiness. If we can ask about the 10,000 big books, 100,000 small books, how can we help? And then secondly, how can we help Mayapur Dham?
You can distribute Prabhupada's books anywhere in the world. If you are inspired somehow to distribute books, want to help me, then you can tell me that I distribute so many books, and I don't need the credit, but somehow Prabhupada said I should distribute. I don't think that he meant to it personally. Of course, some devotees sponsors of Bhagavad Gita's for me, and I give that to the tribals and libraries, things. So some books are definitely people sponsor. But otherwise, you can distribute books anywhere in the world. And if you are doing so to help me pay my debt, I will appreciate it. Credit can go to the local temple. That's all right.
Very nice. So that's what,
many devotees tell me that they're distributing books, so I appreciate very much.
thank you. And we'll try to get the information of where you can, we'll put it onto the different channels, if how you can send your information of how many books you've distributed, and if you would like to contribute it to the totals here. That's 10,000 big books, 100,000 small books. And also just a few words, please, if possible, just how can this global community that we've got help serve and contribute in developing Mayapur, which is so crucial to Srila Prabhupada's vision?
Well, definitely once this COVID crisis is over, come visit us in Mayapur. Definitely you can contribute your finances to the temple of Vedic Planetarium, and those who are disciples anywhere in the world. Amber Prabhu said 50% of their donation will go to the West Wing. I'm responsible for the Vedic Planetarium and the exhibition. And in the UK, our country Prabhu is part of our executive team. In America, we have different devotees, Amber Prabhu and others. Hari Sri Prabhu, Judah Karma, many people. So they can help by directly sending a donation to the TLVP. But if you're my disciple, please inform us, because outside of my zone, they don't know, they don't ask who's disciple. So we're not getting our 50%. But if you want to help, send a donation directly to the TLVP West Wing. You can do that.
Okay. Thank you
Also,
so much.
This COVID crisis, I'm very grateful for all the help we're getting for prasad distribution, for the temple crises, for the body care, for the call care. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody for helping, and thank you very much. And I just want to say thank you so much to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj for coming on today and initiating this Prabhupada Memoirs series. And this is happening every week with the blessings of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and everybody else. And this 1 hour with His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, we couldn't cover everything. We just talked about the initiation. So hopefully I'm praying that Maharaj will come again on another session later on. And next week, please look out for the posters, because we'll be revealing who we'll be speaking to next week. So on this basis, I just want to say Hare Krishna to everyone. Thank you so much, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, for taking your time out. I know you've got other meetings now. And thank you to everybody, the 300 of you that have joined online. And please take action and have a listen to this. And please share it with all your friends. So on that, I'll say Hare Krishna.
After this, I'm giving a class on Chaitanya Leela.
So please, so stay tuned on Jayapataka Swami Facebook page for a talk on Chaitanya Leela. Hare Krishna.